Welcome back to Let's Talk Business Phoenix, the Greater Phoenix Chambers podcast. I'm your host, Todd Sanders, President and CEO of the Greater Phoenix Chamber. Throughout each episode, we're going to explore key issues impacting our businesses, our community, and our state, highlighting opportunities for growth, addressing some challenges, and bringing leaders together to continue moving Phoenix forward. Let's jump into today's discussion. Well, welcome back to the podcast. We have a very special guest. We have the Vice Mayor from the City of Phoenix, which is her district is District 1. She's joining us today, Ann O'Brien. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're incredibly busy.
Oh, thank you, Todd, so much for having me. It really is my honor.
Well, I think probably everybody has at least met you that's watching or that will watch. But, maybe for just the edification of folks out there, tell us a little bit about your background, where you came from, and then maybe something that we wouldn't find on your bio that we would find interesting.
So I kind of have a windy road to where I am today. I ended up graduating with a business management degree out of ASU and went to work for the state of Arizona in child support enforcement on an automation project. It was a federal state partnership. It was an incredibly interesting opportunity. And then I got married and we had kids and I decided to stay home. But my children opened up an opportunity for advocacy, not just for them, but also for their classmates and our school, and eventually school district. So I served 8 years on the school board.
There's a special place in heaven for you.
Oh gosh, I hope so, Todd. I did it during COVID too. No one gave us a manual. As we all know, all elected officials were wishing we had a little bit of a manual. And did some other advocacy work along the way that introduced me to my predecessor, Thelda Williams, who served as mayor 3 different times, vice mayor, I'm sure on more than one occasion, and just a really incredible woman. And she put me on the village planning committee. And then when she was turned out, I loved serving my community. And so I told my husband, I said, I think I have to serve and I'm going to try to do this. And I am probably going to lose because I was the underdog and I knew nothing about running for office at that level. And he said, okay, and so we did it. And
no hesitation.
Well, he did actually have some hesitation. I'm not going to fib, especially when they tell you how much it costs to run for a city council seat. And so when I promised him that it would not be one penny of our money, he said, all right. And so we did, and then I won.
What was that like when the tallies came in and like, wait, you've just been elected? What's the feeling?
It was very a little overwhelming, but it was really a great feeling to know that my community had faith in me and what I wanted to do with them and for them. And so I got a phone call from my predecessor.
Oh, that's
God
great.
Bless her. And
well, that's a big one.
Yes, it was huge. And she said, you've won. It was election night. They had just posted the first results. And I said, oh, thank you so much, but I think it's too early. And she said, I've been doing this for a long time. Yeah. He can't catch up. Wow. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to take your word for it. And she was right. And so...
what a great start, right?
Yes.
It's to have Thelda woman call you and tell you that and to know that she asked you to sort of step up.
It was really an honor. Yeah.
And then, obviously, I think I've heard this from so many elected officials. You have your idea of what it's going to be like and then what it's actually like. What were some of the biggest differences?
Well, so having served at the school board for about 6 years at that point, I had a little bit of an idea of what I was getting into, but I'll tell you, it was so much better than what I actually thought it would be. I love working with the community members, and quite frankly, Thelda Williams had done such a great job of setting a foundation and building those relationships with the community members. It was a little bit intimidating. They were very large, beautiful shoes to have to try to fill.
I can imagine. It's easier to go from a low bar than a high bar.
She had set the bar very, very high. And so that was a little bit intimidating. But the community members are great. They welcomed me. They embraced me. We got to know each other. And we are continuing to do great things in District 1.
Well, and I want to come back to your facts. But I think one of the things that's interesting about Thelda and you, obviously there are a lot of parallels, but one of those is I think you're known as a consensus builder, right? You aren't there representing one special interest or one part of your district, or you're basically there to say, look, we're here to solve problems.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
Oh, I think I just have always been built that way. It's just important to me that we make it better for those around us, and move forward. When I worked in the schools as a volunteer, and I did substitute for a while in my kids' school because there was a substitute shortage, I really just wanted to do what was right and best for the community. And I don't think there's a good place for just operating with a personal agenda or a special interest. Let's bring everybody around and figure out what is good for all of us. It shouldn't be an all or nothing way about it. There's a way for us to move forward together.
Well, and I think that's always been something that I've admired and people admire, but in today's world where people seem to want to just be at odds for the sake of being at odds, or for a party, although we don't have parties at the city level, how do you do that?
Well, it's really important to find what you agree on. Where are the places you
starting from that,
right? Let's start with that. I mean, there are some places where you can say, look, we're going to disagree on that, and we won't talk
and
about
that's
that.
Okay.
It is absolutely okay, and we can agree to disagree, but it is so much better to be 30% friends than 70% enemies. So
like
it's just important to find how we can move forward.
The secret sauce.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to get back to the fact about you that we wouldn't find on your bio that would be, and I'm sure there's some good ones.
So the one I'm going to share today is that I needed a summer job in college, for about 3 months, and so I was hired to be a Unocal gas station inspector.
Really?
So for 3 months, and it was the summer where we had the hottest day, 122 degrees.
That's that day. Yes.
That day, I was out inspecting a gas station on Indian School Road around 30th, 5th Avenue-ish. But I inspected gas stations across Arizona and in Las Vegas for that summer.
That's good stuff.
So, gas station owners that were mostly men didn't really appreciate hearing from a 20-something-year-old young lady who wore a skirt and heels and pantyhose how they should make their stations better.
Good for you for doing that. Well, you'll be interested to know, we also had Dr. Curtis Fitch, who's Deer Valley superintendent, and his first job was pumping gas in a gas station in Alaska. Yeah. So you guys have some interesting parallels in the district.
Yes.
But thank you again for being here. So, as I mentioned, consensus builder, and that's relatively easy when you have sort of low-hanging fruit.
Right.
But we've got some challenges in the valley and more opportunities than I think we can name. But one of those that's becoming more of a challenge is housing. And I know that this is something that you talked about from day one and you're continuing to work on. Talk to us a little bit about sort of the why and then where things stand.
So I started serving on the school board in January of 2015 on the Deer Valley Unified School District Governing Board. And it became quickly obvious that not only couldn't our teachers necessarily afford to live in the communities they were serving, but our bus drivers, our maintenance workers. And at the time, I had a daughter in college and a son who was getting ready to graduate high school, and I wanted them to get to live close to our family. My entire family are my constituents. We all live within 5 minutes of each other, and I wanted them to be a part of that. And it seemed like even though they might have 4-year degrees and great jobs, it might not be possible.
Unattainable.
In Phoenix. Absolutely unattainable. It's not like when my parents bought their house in 1972 as early 20-somethings, right? Now,
a starter home.
Exactly, a starter home. They lived on the outskirts of the valley, but today, sometimes our 30-somethings and our early 40-somethings struggle to look at buying a home.
So obviously, I think you stated it very eloquently, the challenge, and you talked to parents out there that express the same concerns, and certainly employers. You want your folks to at least have the opportunity to live in the community where they work. So starting from that proposition, how have you addressed this problem? What are you doing on that?
So, in addition to voting for and helping to approve different development plans in the city, my staff spent over a year researching different options, and then in August we put out a housing solution plan to tackle it from a couple of different areas.
So
right?
than the traditional answer they always hear.
Right. I mean, and the state legislature has been working on this,
Yes.
but we all need to come together and work on it as a team. I think. I remember the days when the cities were all pitted against each other for economic development,
I remember those days.
and those were not good days, because that meant if Phoenix didn't get it, it didn't mean Chandler was getting it. It meant Texas might be getting it, or Florida might be getting it.
Not good for anybody.
Right. I'd rather have Phoenix get it, but if not, I'm happy to have one of our neighbors get it. So relative to the housing, though, it's kind of like that. And besides doing some local things,
Okay.
we want to have some regional solutions where we can find the best of what the cities are doing.
So you're thinking about this globally, not just from a Phoenix perspective.
No, there's things we can do in Phoenix, right? Housing creation and preservation, working on our trust and a land bank. So there are some ideas that, yes, I'd absolutely like Phoenix to work on. But I also think there's working with our neighbors, working at the regional level. The Maricopa Association of Governments, I think, is a great way to bring people together and find the best of what's going on. While I loved the idea of inventing the newest and latest and be out in front with that, but I'm also not above borrowing what is already working somewhere and saving a whole lot of time and
replicate,
effort.
rip off and
Right?
replicate, yeah.
And there's some state level policies too, source of income discrimination that could be passed. Former Councilman Sal DiCiccio led the charge on that in Phoenix, and I'm proud to say that I supported that. I think we need to do that statewide. So those are, so it's all encompassing. I'd love folks to go out and read the plan.
Okay.
Phoenix.gov/District 1.
Okay, we'll make sure we put a link out.
Thank you.
So that folks can see that. I'm curious. Well, first of all, impressed. I was on staff at the legislature, and for me to do my job and then spend a year researching something is quite a feat. So kudos to you and your staff for taking the time to do it. Did you look at solutions outside of Arizona, for instance, where it had been done creatively and then done in a way that seems to work?
Yeah, Florida has some ideas, and right, we have to tweak them all a little bit.
Yeah,
Because
of course.
Arizona's
We're different.
Unique, but there is definitely some ideas outside of our state that we look to bring here.
I understand there's four parts to this.
Yeah.
That are part of this work that you're doing. Can you kind of speak to that a little bit?
So, local development streamlining would be, right, how do we speed up permitting, right?
Thank you.
Absolutely. You have an alternative materials commission to look at. Are there some other materials that we could look that would make it more cost effective or quicker building, right? We all know time is money.
Absolutely, but are still safe and efficient.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we will not, get rid of safety in any of that. Develop fee reduction or waiver programs if you're looking at providing affordable housing, or they're more attainable.
So if you want to develop affordable housing.
Right. How do we make it easier for developers to come in and do that? So those are some of the local development ways to do that. And then the regional coordination and efficiency, that was where I talked about working with our neighbors and MAG.
Yeah.
That would be really important to have.
Maricopa Association of Governments.
Have some plans that are kind of approved and
Okay.
can be used anywhere. And what are the processes, right? We hear, well, this is how Chandler does it, or this is how Mesa does it, or this is how Buckeye does it. So what are the processes that work really well? And can another city incorporate or look at those processes?
I love that.
And bring them to make it more efficient and hopefully less money.
Yeah, well, and certainly, and certainly cities can learn from us and vice versa.
Absolutely. Yeah. What's working in Phoenix, we would love to share it with others. And then the state level policy would be, the source of income.
Speak to that a little bit.
So when you apply for an apartment,
Sure.
you can list where you get your money.
Sources of income.
What your source of income is, right? If I have a job, might have to provide a paycheck stub. But some folks will discriminate against an applicant because it's disability or Social Security, or it's, not an income that traditional income that we think of. And so that shouldn't be allowed to be considered. If it's an income you get and it's a regular income, then we should allow that and you should be able to get housing.
So the requirement is 3 times the monthly rent, fine.
Right.
But also consider these sources of income as legitimate sources of income like disability.
Absolutely.
So thinking of, not at the state level, but the city level, these ideas, these four, is that part of a comprehensive proposal? Is that in the works now? Is that done?
So no, it is not. We will have to find the right sponsor and get folks on board. We have been working for a couple of years on the condo defect law to try to change it in a way that would be a little bit more helpful to developers, but not put safety of the homeowner at risk as well. But we want to have that missing middle, right? That will open up then more starter homes. And we have a condo defect law in Arizona that is much more stringent. Most of the states around the country have modified theirs a little bit. And so, or a lot in some cases, we'd like to modify ours a little bit.
So thinking about engagement, so someone might say, well, I'm not District 1. I don't know that I can get involved. Is that correct? Or you have someone that's got a business in District 5, for instance, or 3, and they want to comment on this or talk to you about that. I'm assuming your door's open to those conversations.
My door is open to anybody. I'm always happy to hear from folks, especially how our city policies impact them. If there's a state policy that's impacting them, we want to know how it's impacting their businesses and their lives. I encourage anybody I meet to find out who represents them at all the levels, everywhere from school district to federal levels, and be engaged.
Well, I commend you for jumping into this. I know that this is one of the things that we hear about a lot, especially on the workforce front. And so we will continue to work with you on this and appreciate your leadership. Other areas that are priorities for you at the moment? I can't imagine that you don't have room for much more, but I'm sure there is more.
So I tell people all the time, right, it is a big puzzle that if you don't get all the pieces right, or just you do one, you're missing one, it doesn't look quite right. But we've got the housing solution plan. A couple of years ago, we did the homeless solution plan. Okay. That's about 60% implemented, so we want to continue to work on that. We're going to need some help from our friends at the state level to make some more headway there, but that's important.
It's a significant challenge.
It is a significant challenge, and it's got a lot of parts and pieces to it. It's a complex problem, so there's not just one or two solutions to get us through that one, for sure. Additionally, I'd like to see more technology, and I should say modernized technology, brought to the city.
Okay.
So we had a significant wait time if you call Crime Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to wait very long.
Yeah, that's not one of those that you want to hang out.
No, you don't want to hang out there. And some folks were telling me, I was on hold for an hour or 2 hours. And while, right, it's not a 911 call, but it's still something you want to report and let the city know about. So we introduced an AI technology that can answer those phone calls, and it does a couple of things. Shortens the time that folks are on hold, if they're on hold at all. It can take those non-emergency reports without a person, although you still have a person available to you. But what it does is it frees up our dispatchers and our communication specialists to answer our 911 calls. I was at an event last night to say goodbye to one of our dearest assistant city managers, and unfortunately we had an unresponsive elderly woman, and I dialed 911. And I was on hold for a little bit, and I don't even know how many seconds it was, but it felt like forever.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I think she's going to be okay. We got the ambulance there, but so that's part of it. And then we also introduced another AI program to planning and development to hopefully take care of some of those smaller, easier, simpler type of things.
Goes back to permitting.
Permitting. Hopefully we'll reduce time and cost. And so we're looking to do that. But there's a lot of areas, I think, in the city where we can look at some efficiencies relative to technology.
And then thinking about wait times, you mentioned obviously you're calling the police or fire. How are we doing on wait times, or response times, I should say, for those kinds of things? Are the numbers getting better? I know we put some dollars into that in recent years.
The numbers are getting better relative to fire. We've put some more engines and ambulances into service. So we're kind of doubling up at some places. We have the Phoenix voters, thank heaven, approved our bond, our GO bond a couple of years ago. And so we have several fire stations that are either being rebuilt so that they're bigger and better and have the ability for more services, or just brand new stations in areas where the growth is just phenomenal.
And again, to have that close to home is key.
It absolutely is. Time is everything. And the Phoenix Police Department is working diligently too to hire folks and bring them on board and retain the ones we have as well.
Well, they're not immune to it, just like the rest of the business community. It's hard to find folks, and workforce is a big issue for all of us. One of the things that also has been in the news is city budget. I know you don't have the option of running a deficit, like our friends at the federal level, and you can't just shut down things. Where are we in terms of budget? Are we looking better? I know that there was some concern going into the year, but where are we?
So we are projecting a small surplus that is one-time money, though. So that is really important.
I'm not going to spend it on ongoing expenses.
We do not want to put it in ongoing expenses. So it is one time, and we want to be conscientious about that we are going to see those. It's a projected surplus at this point because the fiscal year starts July 1 and ends on June 30, but we are starting the budget process already for next year. So we're hoping to put aside $1.6 million for our housing trust, and then have some funding potentially for other, like I said, one-time expenses.
So in a good course at this moment, things are in a decent place.
Yes, it is in a decent place. It is a little nerve-wracking what's going on in the broader world, and we want to keep our eye on that. But we are moving in, I think, the right direction right now. Our budget process is open to the city and all of our constituents, and we have won awards for getting feedback from our constituents, and so that can start at any time. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you like. We want to know what you want changed. So it's really, please participate in that process.
Well, it's always tough at the city because there are some lagging indicators out there that you have to sort of rely on for 2 years down the road, and it may or may not happen. And so you'll have to be extra careful when you budget.
We really do. And additionally, sometimes the state legislature makes changes that impact us significantly, and we don't. It's not as lagging as we would like it to be.
I was in Colorado recently in Denver, and it made me so thankful that we have Sky Harbor, as it took me an hour to get into town. That's obviously an engine for us, an economic engine. We just got some new flights to Taiwan. What do you see happening there going forward? Oh
my gosh, our Director of Aviation, Chad McCoskey.
He's a good man.
He is incredible. We are so fortunate that he came back, and I think we're going to keep working on international flights. Semicon West is in town, and so I've gotten to meet lots of people this week from different countries. I was talking with a gentleman from Panama who is just beside himself that we do not have a direct flight to Panama, and so our aviation staff was working diligently with them. We have some other big locations that we're working on as well. I'm excited to be on the inaugural flight with Starlux in January.
That's going to be so amazing. We had a group from Singapore, a delegation from Singapore in the chamber. We made the pitch for Singapore Air, so hopefully, we'll take it.
that would be amazing as well.
So we can't talk about economic development without talking about our friend Chris Mackey. We had Chris Camacho on here as he was exiting GPEC. Chris Mackey is going over to GPEC. That leaves a pretty significant hole. To your point about Felda, I mean, these are big shoes.
They are.
I'm assuming the process is underway for our new VP.
Yes.
Well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. Our new head of economic development.
It is in process. Yeah. And I think what's important for folks to understand is Chris Mackey is kind of a unicorn, right?
An institution.
A lot of time in commercial real estate, and then in economic development in Chandler, and then came to Phoenix and has done incredible work. What I tell people is, as much as I am sad to see her leave, we knew she was going to be probably retiring from the city sooner rather than later. But going where she's going at least now we still get a part of her, and she'll be working on the entire region. Yeah. So I wish her all the best, and I know she will continue to take care of all of us.
Well, we'll look forward to hearing kind of where we go with the city level, but you're right. We're really fortunate to get a few more years with Chris. Well, you mentioned Semicon, and your district is at the, you're kind of at the heart of everything when you think about TSMC. Talk to us about the impact that you've seen as a result of TSMC. But I think the other thing that I always tell people from out of state that ask me about that, I'm like, that's one thing, but the ancillary impact of all these other businesses coming has really had, I think, a huge, it's contributed greatly to our economy.
It absolutely has. I cannot remember the latest speech numbers. I do believe, though, that the average salary has increased by $20,000 to $30,000 a year for our workers, which is phenomenal. I mean, definitely, is very helpful. We have the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company in the northern part of my district. Yeah. Additionally, in District 1, we have another 25 suppliers. As I was walking the vendor floor yesterday and getting to say hi to some of the folks that are there and some folks that like to come, those that are there who thought they were getting enough space 2 or 3 years ago when they were signing their leases are now busting at the seams and telling our economic development team, hey, we need more space and we need it now.
Incredible.
So it is just amazing what TSMC has done for the Valley, and it's amazing.
And to your point, it doesn't matter the district. The impact is not only Phoenix, but countywide.
It actually, and statewide, because some of the suppliers have gone to Pinal County. So yes, it is statewide. It is a great benefit to the state. I'm thankful to former Governor Ducey and to certainly Mayor Gallego for all the work they did, Sandra Watson with the Arizona Commerce Authority, and the whole team, right? Chris Camacho, yes. and you all. You laid a great foundation, and I'm thrilled to get to continue to build on that foundation with TSMC and our additional suppliers.
So speaking of foundations, infrastructure is key, mm-hmm. and I think it's probably part of what drove TSMC here. I think about, for instance, Prop 479. By the way, thank you for your really strong leadership on that and having the road infrastructure necessary along with a multimodal transportation. Going forward, though, with the growth, how should we be thinking about infrastructure?
So I think we need to continue to support things like Prop 479 because that is part of what is appealing, as you said, to Phoenix and the region is that we have a good freeway system and mm-hmm. we try to keep commutes down. I visited, I won't say the name of the city, but there is another city on the East Coast, and it was my one time there, and I had to drive. It was said 45 minutes, took me an hour and a half to get my husband to the airport. And I said, never again. I don't want to. No. It's too much. That's a lot. But as far as development, we work with each developer individually on their case to figure out how we're going to work on infrastructure and what they need and what the community needs. We recently had to pass new impact fees and really work to keep them as low as possible because I know our developers pass those impact fees for houses and multifamily units on to ultimately the end user. So we want to keep them as low as possible. One of the pieces of that is all this development up in my district means we needed an advanced water purification plant up there. And we were in line for a grant from the federal government, and they kind of went quiet on us. So I got a chance to travel back to Washington, D.C. and talk to their deputy director of intergovernmental affairs and write some letters. And there were others who helped with us. But we're very excited to say that we got that $179 million grant for our advanced water purification. And so we will continue to help build the infrastructure up north.
Well worth the flight to D.C.
Oh, anytime, yes.
Well, as we talk about, for instance, TSMC, we talk about healthcare, financial services, construction. What we always hear from employers is workforce. Mm-hmm. How are you engaged on the workforce side? I know we've talked about Elevate Ed, we've talked about sort of these industries and how we need to focus on workforce. But from your perspective, what do we need to be thinking about? What are you doing on that?
So it's really, education is key to this. And I serve as chairwoman of West Ed, which is a nonprofit that helps, it's based research and development. It's nonpartisan, and it's about how to provide best education from infant to end of life so that we can continue to have great learners. We're lifelong learning, right? It's what we want to hear and have in people. Additionally, we have West Mech in our district, in my district in the city of Phoenix.
Tremendous player.
Right, a big player. They are partnering with lots of folks. I was happy to support Innovation 27, which has ASU and NAU and the Maricopa Community College district in there. So there's so many pieces. ASU's increasing their engineering program as well as their business programs and their medical programs at ASU West Valley, which is in District 1. So all of that is feeding into all of these great jobs that we now have. We just need to keep working on the K-12 piece of it as well.
Yeah, exactly, and I was going to ask you that, and obviously we'll take off your city council hat, ask you to put your school board hat back on, and obviously this isn't a city council issue, but what should policy makers be thinking about as it relates to the K-12 system?
I think that we have lots of options, but our public schools are struggling financially, so it might be time to bring folks around the table again and talk about what do we really want out of our K-12 entities, right? Whether they're a charter or public or private, right? We keep hearing from our universities, our certificate programs, and our businesses that some of these folks coming out aren't ready and prepared. So what else do we need to do to provide them and get them prepared for those next steps?
Level set.
Yes, it's a different time. It's not like when you and I went to school and there was just one path. There's lots of different paths, and there's a lot going on in this world, a lot more screen time and parents torn in lots of different ways. When I was a school board member, I struggled because our schools were doing so much more with less and serving needs that they weren't originally intended to do. They're supposed to be teachers, but now we're social workers and we're feeding them and we're bathing them and doing lots of things to try to make sure that they're fed and safe and clean so that they can be ready to learn.
And to your point, in an antiquated system, it's not necessarily caught up to today.
No, yeah, and I don't want it to sound like public schools aren't doing a good job.
It's not that.
But it's a system that, right, I think folks want to look at and should take a look at it. I mean, Deer Valley School District, you just had Dr. Finch in, right? Their graduation rate, I believe, is high school graduation rate is 94 or 96%, which is amazing. Their last graduating class was offered more than $70 million in scholarships, where their achievements are greater than the state level. So we're getting, in a lot of places, a bigger bang for our buck than we realize. And folks are only looking at the negatives and not looking at the positives. But if we want to have that discussion, let's sit down and talk about how we can make it better.
Absolutely. Obviously you're not afraid of big challenges, and you've tackled some, or you're tackling some. Looking around the corner, what are some of the other things you're interested in looking at?
Oh, well, we talked a little bit about the AI technology. That will be a ginormous one for city, the city of Phoenix. I mean, we have a lot of questions. And a lot of departments, and we have 14,000 employees. We are 517 square miles. We have over 5,000 miles of streets. So there's a lot to do. We're short officers, but they're trying to solve crimes and do the best they can and be proactive in preventing crimes. So I like I said before, it's a big puzzle, and I like to work on it all together, but the workforce development, education, public safety, infrastructure, they're all right up there.
They're so impactful.
Yes, they are. They are.
The final question I have for you, especially during these sort of tumultuous times, I think there are a lot of people on the sidelines that are looking at mostly DC, but even our friends at the legislature, and think, that's not for me, because that's just a lot of insanity. But we know we need people like you, right, who did that in spite of sort of the popular whatever you're seeing on social media. And clearly we need more people like that are willing to come in and just solve problems. What would you say to those people?
I get engaged, right? Stay engaged. I told you, find out who is representing you, join associations and chambers. But if you have a heart to serve in an elected position, I would go start talking to elected folks in the area where you might want to serve and see what it's like. Go visit the city council meeting. I went to 2 years worth of governing board meetings every 2 weeks before I said, yep, I'm going to run. I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do that.
So don't just look at what's on social media. Go down there and take a look.
No, I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't go on social media very often.
Yeah, that's probably why you're saying right now.
But yes, go to the meetings. I went to city council meetings. I went to the state legislature and I testified there for an entire session while a good friend of mine and I were trying to get 3 bills passed. And it's pretty unheard of, but we got all 3 bills passed that legislative session.
That's unheard of.
So that was an amazing feeling. Yeah, I'm done. I'm out now. But no, I'm still trying to get some stuff passed there. But that was an incredible thing to get to do.
So see for yourself.
See for yourself. Go and talk to your legislators, talk to your city council members. There's a couple of districts that are going to have open seats in the city of Phoenix on the 2026 election. And I get phone calls or texts from folks who say, will you sit down? I'm thinking about running for this office or this district. And I'm happy to sit down and talk to folks and tell them things that they should think about, things you should talk to your spouse or your children about, because it impacts
I'm sure it does.
the entire family. I would tell you my elections were harder on my mom and my sister and my children than they were on me.
Well, it's hard. One thing to have thick skin, but your kids never want to see, attacks.
No, I actually think it was harder on my mom and my sister. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, calm down, everybody. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, but my mom was around. I don't think she would put up with that. I'm with you.
Yeah, but no, reach out, talk, get involved. And we also have, the city of Phoenix has committees and commissions that you can volunteer for. That will give you kind of an idea of what's going on in the city. The village planning commissions.
That's what you did.
Right, where I did that. Yeah. That was really important. I also know the state has some commissions and committees as well where folks can volunteer. So those are really important and vital to our system.
Well, I know you always talk about your door being open, and we've taken you up on that, and it's true. And so thank you for that. I did lie. There's one more question. What keeps you up at night? 2 more questions.
2 more questions.
Yes. One more, what keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night are the issues that I don't really have control. Right, I don't get to vote or sit around the table with, and in complete honesty, immigration is one of them. That is a big issue, and I really need those folks in Washington D.C. to come around the table and solve that.
I like that. Okay, that's a good one. And then the easier one, what gives you confidence in the morning to get out of bed and tackle the next day?
I think it's the ability to know that I'm going to be able to help somebody. And some of my constituents like, we don't want to bother you. Please bother me. That's what I was elected for. I have a great staff to help me with, and we don't consider it a bother. If your trash didn't get picked up, let us know. We'll get it taken care of. If something's wrong with your streets, if you think you need a left turning light, or we want to hear about that. If there's a safety issue, I want to know about that. So it's never a bother. I want people to call. Sometimes people call me from outside of the district, and that's okay. We get you to your council person, but we want to help you, and we want to solve problems, and that's really what I love to get to do, is help people.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you're right. People focus on the feds and the state, and that's important. But the entities that really have the most impact on your lives are the cities. I mean, they really, to your point, if trash doesn't get picked up, your day is not going to be great. Right. So all those things matter. So thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Thanks for your leadership. Thanks for spending so much time with us, for tackling some of these huge issues, and also for being on the forefront of big opportunities like TSMC and everything that's happening there. And that's how we'll close this, but I do have a lightning round that we'll get into. Uh-oh. So these aren't unofficial questions.
Okay.
And I promise you they're easy.
All right.
So first one, what was your first job?
J.C. Penney's at Park Central Mall.
Oh, that's awesome.
When I was 16.
What'd you learn?
Patience and good customer service. So
Do you notice some of that? coming back right now? And
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I started work right before the Christmas holiday season. So, yes.
Okay.
Right?
All right. First concert.
Oh, Rush.
Oh, excellent. Was it here?
It was.
Compton Terrace, maybe?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
The
Coliseum. Okay, very good.
I'm aging myself.
No, I think Compton Terrace might actually be worse. Excellent. Okay, you're 2 for 2. Now, the last one, first car.
Oh, a Ford Gran Torino.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful blue with a white top.
I can picture it.
And I'm going to be in trouble. I want to say like a 357 motor. And I say that only because when I was cruising Metro Center and the boys would come up to the red light and they would want to race.
Of course they would. And they lost.
They all lost.
Well, I have good news. You are 3 for 3. Those are the exact right answers. Thanks again. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Todd. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk Business Phoenix. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow or subscribe to our channel so that you never miss an episode. We're glad that you could join us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.